The ongoing Pondicherry election in its third now is already making significant strides with its practical agenda, delegates deliberating on pressing issues, proposing new legislative acts, and work expand the legitimacy and reach of the Earth Government Initiative. Persistent efforts by the WCPA and allied organizations have built the legal, organizational, and diplomatic groundwork, as well as technological infrastructure. For this moment, aiming the formal launch of Earth Government operationalize the Earth Constitution right this month in the winter of December 2025. This gathering represents the culmination of 81 years
This meeting is being
of
recorded.
advocacy and preparation, positioning the world to potentially take its first concrete steps towards a unified, democratic, and sustainable global governance system. I'll now come to the topic of the session, which to many of you may be a bold, radical, and even an unimaginable proposition, the doctrine, and how it's so critical and pertinent to agenda for Earth governance. The RIC Federation, Russia, India, China, anchored on the Prime Doctrine, is a grouping of large diverse civilization states in the Eurasian region, Russia, India, and China, that encompass nearly 60% of the world human population and most congenial geoclimatic expanse for human habitation. This was originally conceived in the late 1990s by Russian Prime Minister Yevgeny Primakov to contain Western dominance and to promote a unified and pluralistic global harmony as a concert of civilizations and not as a competitive, rivalrous, multipolar world order that underlines the premise of clash of civilizations. The Prime Doctrine serves as a conceptual foundation for establishing the Vibes Bharati Prithvi Sansad, Earth Parliament, that I am the middle of grassroots to global governance, bringing the world away from hegemonic unipolarity toward a cooperative, unified, and pluralist harmony that promotes peace and ecological restoration. The bridge between these frameworks lies in converting geopolitical multipolarity into governing polycentrism, where power is shared not only across nations, but also across grassroots communities, cultures, and ecological systems, including all the flora and fauna, unified with a shared purpose. It harbingers a new dawn for humanity at a time when we seem to need the most. The current global landscape is marked by a series of interconnected crises that collectively constitute a deepening meta-crisis. As we speak, the failure of the Ukraine plan and the Organization for Security and Cooperation for Europe just a few days back, the ongoing ceasefire violations and the humanitarian catastrophe in Palestine, exacerbated by American military presence in West Asia, where they have no reason to be, highlight the limitations of existing diplomatic and multilateral frameworks. Simultaneously, dangerous military escalations in Venezuela, in South America, in various places in Africa, the South China Sea, South Asia, where currently the session is being hosted, reveal a pattern of competitive rivalry and deepening mistrust among sovereign states, further undermining global stability. The recent COP30 climate summit in Belém, Brazil, ended without a binding agreement on fossil fuel phase-out, reflecting the continued neglect of urgent environmental imperatives and growing mental health disorder among younger generations who are facing eco-anxiety and despair. This sense of helplessness is manifesting in sporadic violent aggression, underscoring the urgent need for governance paradigm that prioritizes peace, sustainability, and intergenerational justice. The United Nations, once envisioned as a cornerstone of multilateral cooperation, now appears increasingly defunct and toothless in the face of this escalating crisis. The system of competitive nation states, driven by narrow national interests and deep-seated animosity, is ill-equipped to address the transnational challenges of our times. In this context, the declaration of government by the World People's Assembly, formerly Eurasian People's Assembly, in collaboration with World Constitution and Parliament Association and the WIPE's Global Alliance, emerges as a critical and urgent response. Ladies and gentlemen, time is running out for survival of human civilization and to avoid extinction of human species. But is this the darkest hour before a new dawn? As our collective critical response to the global crisis, we must form and strengthen grassroots to global level governance that look beyond bilateralism and multilateralism and towards a unified, pluralistic, ethno-federal Earth state. In this context, the RIC Federation, where India is sandwiched between Russia and China, which are significant military and economic powers, who control large swathes of critical resources, and India being an ancient civilization with a strong cultural and spiritual underpinnings, has a historic leadership in global governance, including the inauguration of the very second provisional parliament session, which was held in India, in New Delhi, in March of 1985. And it was inaugurated by the then Honorable President of India, Gyani Jail Singh. This underscores our nation's potential to lead the global movement. Even though the current session, we should have taken this momentum much further, was jeopardized by the cyclone Ditwa earlier, as well as the airlines crisis, which hampered the movement of much larger number of people who should have gathered on this occasion in Pondicherry. But we shall, with our spirit and with our conviction, make up for the lost time and the lost momentum in this period. Upcoming 16th Provisional World Parliament session in Pondicherry with a global secretariat in India is thus a unique and transformative opportunity for India to host the Earth government based on the Earth Constitution that's now getting further updated and defined with new provisions. We need to rise to address the outstanding and long pending challenges to stop wars and genocide that is not only affecting people in all areas, but is further aggravating ecological degradation. This is already causing eco-anxiety and mental health crisis among the younger generation, especially the Gen Z, born between 1996 and 2012, as it hurdles humanity towards a bigger quest, and that is already pushing us to a point of no return. In this context, the recent visit of Russian President Vladimir Putin to India for the 23rd annual India-Russia summit has set the tone for moving beyond the agenda for this bilateral summit from special and strategic partnership to trilateral with RIC Federation as a microcosm of all state, as an urgent critical response to the global spiraling out of control, anchored on the framework of doctrine. So let me update you that in the past couple of months, I met the Russian ambassador, His Excellency Mr. Denis Alipov, and I put up with him a solution for the Ukraine crisis that I'd like to share with this parliament. The solution is that if Russia truly cared about the injustice done against it by the Western forces through the transgression after the Warsaw Pact was dissolved by the eastward expansion of NATO, everyone that poses a security threat to Russia's national interests. However, as I pointed to His Excellency Denis Alipov, that 1.5 million Russians are sitting inside the occupied territory of Palestine, not only posing grave threat to the life of innocent civilians, but they are complicit in the live stream genocide, in the bombing of hospitals, in the bombing of schools, shelter homes, and of United Nations offices. So I said that if missiles and long-range weapons positioned outside the boundaries of Russian territory pose a threat, then certainly Russia being complicit cannot be a premise for parity. To this, there was a stunned silence in the room because the occasion was the launch of a book titled 1,000 Years of War by the West against Russia by a former Indian Administrative Service officer, Dr. Achala. Now, if Russia were to carry the momentum that it had during the 16th BRICS summit in Russia last year, in October of 2024, there was a very serious and very respectful question put up by the Kyrgyzstan human rights chief to the Russian President Vladimir Putin, that if NATO was mobilizing resources to help, why was Global South and the BRICS formation not providing adequate support to Palestine? And to this, unlike his macho personality, President Putin fumbled for an answer and said that he needed to be extra careful and cautious. But why does this extra care and caution doesn't apply to bombing of Ukraine in its neighborhood? Is the question that I asked. And this holds the answer, the resolution to the Ukraine crisis, as and when the Russian authorities come to the senses. At this juncture, and as the session is being Pondicherry, and it started with a tribute to Sri Aurobindo, I'd like to share my tribute to Sri Aurobindo and to the 5 dreams he had. India's historic leadership in global governance, including the inauguration of the Second World Parliament in Delhi in March 1985 by the then Honorable President of India, Zail Singh, underscored India's potential to lead this global movement. In this, as Dr. Martin visits Delhi after this session, our team is trying to set up a meeting with the Indian Prime Minister, and we have also invited for his online participation in the closing session, for which I would like all of you to use social media to send out messages requesting the Indian Prime Minister, because this is happening at a short notice. It is also our privilege to come him at this historic event as a keynote speaker, highlighting some of the points that I mentioned of the 5 dreams. So on the occasion of Sri Aurobindo's 75th death anniversary, which incidentally was just 4 days back on the 5th of December, let's pay our tribute to a great soul, humanitarian and visionary, with our resolve to fulfill his 5 dreams of humanity. The first being a free and united India. He was very urged by the very artificial and manipulative partition of the Indian subcontinent, which led to a lot of bloodshed and lots of repercussions for uh, uh, quality of life and for peace and harmony in the region for the time to come. The second dream he had was the resurgence of Asia. He saw the liberation of Asian people and their return to prominent role in human civilization. That's already happening with the rise of China, though we would always wish to it to be contained in a more peaceful and harmonious. He noted that this movement was well underway during his time, and the 20th century he referred to as the age of Asia. The third dream is about a world union for nobler life for all mankind, where nationalism would lose its militancy and the new spirit of oneness that we are all working towards would take hold on the human. We saw the beginnings, but 80 years later, with the digital leverage that we have, I believe that the power of artificial intelligence put in the right hands and put with the right regulatory environment that we are working towards can stop the momentum of the destruction and the concentration of wealth, and not only reverse it, but soon take us to a new lofty height of peace and harmony, sustainability and prosperity with inclusivity and equity. The fourth dream was a spiritual gift of India to the world. He believed that India's spiritual knowledge and practice would increasingly spread to Europe, America, and the rest of the world, offering hope amid global challenges, which is often considerably, and we have made huge strides in this direction. And the fifth and final dream he had was a step in evolution that Dr. Martin and so many other speakers have highlighted in the session so far. As a future step in human evolution that would raise humanity to a higher and larger consciousness, beginning the solution to life's fundamental problems. He viewed this spiritual and inner growth as an ideal that India would initiate and lead. Its scope would be universal. Finally, I come to the last section of my address on a concert of civilizations vis-a-vis a clash of civilizations. This is a quote from Samuel Huntington's Clash of Civilizations. He said, West's dominance was secured not by the superiority of its values, the superiority in applying organized violence. Then he says, Westerners also forget this, but non-Westerners never do. And I think this is in the larger interest of humanity as a whole. It seemed to this, the Russian foreign minister and the global statesman Sergei Lavrov say in a meeting in Moscow to the students and faculty of MDMO University in September 2023 that the era of Western world dominance, it seemed would go on forever, but it lasted approximately 500 years. Now it is drawing to a close. So in terms of the old mentality, today it reflects the objective reality following the emergence of new centers of power, unwilling to play the role of an object of international cooperation, and that do not want to be subjected to the old principle of colonizers to live at the edge of others. Ladies and gentlemen, we have assembled here at this auspicious and august World Parliament to lay the foundations of our world's new political architecture with strong and tenacious pillars of human rights and a civilization that doesn't clash, it concerns. We are here to reorganize the world and overcome the global ecological social, and economic catastrophe as it has unfolded in an accelerating and alarming manner in the past several years. The depth of the crisis has opened the door to the future of humanity. Today, with the planetary crisis dangling like a sword over our heads, we irrefutably feel that we are all equally fragile on this planet. The global meta crisis has crossed all borders and reminds us of the value of humanity. We have seen that all of us, Asians, Africans, Americans, Europeans, have been overwhelmed by these super wicked problems that have no regard for borders and for human differences and require our most urgent attention. These super wicked problems have emerged from increasing specialization and fragmentation in the modern pursuit of knowledge. Edgar Morin, the French philosopher and sociologist, argues that as a result, thought has gone blind. According to Mr. Morin, this disconnection of disciplines embedded in the Western cultural and civilizational context has led to the loss of objective perspective, resulting in a kind of blindness where the complexity and interconnectedness of reality are ignored or misunderstood. I'm very glad that Dr. Martin, who's a philosopher and a scientist, leads this movement because he brings this integrative perspective and helps us restore the lost ground. The time has come to unlock the talents of all of us who make up humanity to solve these problems before it is too late. And that is where I'd like to point out that Dr. Martin must be helped by people of his generation, but there must also be a bridge to the younger generations who I find missing on the table at the moment as we speak. Because it's needed to solve the problems before it is too late, because they are digital natives and they have far better handle on leveraging the digital wonders that we have created. We can neither betray nor let this great moment slip away, close as we are to the world of creativity, where almost everything we can imagine can be transformed into reality. We cannot remain at its doors and close them abruptly because of the ego of some or the miscalculation of others. And why might these doors be closed? Because we are determined to continue with the same dynamic of separating people into groups, nations, cultures, and civilizations, as we did for the past nearly 500 years since the doctrine of discovery. There are only two paths for us. We can either move towards the future of providing a stable framework for humanity and making every human being an essential part of our progress, all 800 crores of us, that's a billion. Relying on each individual's creative capacity, the new world of one humanity. Alternatively, we can continue to play with fire to the end of the world by keeping it in groups and nations. Unfortunately, the focus is still on group traits, the importance of or that country, and every other thing that differentiates and separates us. True that differences exist, just as biodiversity exists here. But difference is a value or richness, not a synonym for the inner to understand each other or hate each other. The deep-seated drive to dominate and destroy through superiority in applying organized violence by rogue terrorist states, as Samuel Huntington warns, prevails in the second option. Only a united humanity can reign in and usher them towards lasting peace and harmony all care for. Vibes of a new future. In history, there have always been people who blaze, from the great explorers and inventors to the great artists. It is the visionaries, their mark and widened horizons. Vibes or Vishwa Bharati Prithvi Sansad or Earth Parliament is one such vision for a grassroots to main system and structure for healthy and harmonious living with sustainability, prosperity powered by the younger generation, the Gen Z. This is a parallel structure that is proposed to replace the now practically defunct the United Nations system and structure, including the anachronistic sovereign nation state by or before 15th January 2026 in just about a month from now. And I believe this timeline is very important because anything beyond this would be too late. Vibes is inspired by poet philosopher Tagore's vision of Vishwa Bharati as an Eastern university, a universal center of learning and culture where the world would make its home a single nest. Yatra Vishwam Bhava Kanidam, conceived over a century back during World War One, the university was designed to break down barrier nations and foster a common fellowship between the East and the West through a synthesis of. Tagore believed that the world has entered an age where cooperation and cross-cultural exchange were essential to human progress. His vision of Vishwa Bharati was based on a philosophy of international humanism that rejected the narrow, belligerent nationalism that's raising its ugly head once again with the Make America Great Again and numerous such campaigns push extreme right-wing fanaticism and jingoism. Water does not flow into the sea magically. Nature channels it through rivers. Similarly, we represent the most perfect way in which we have organized ourselves the common sea, our structural goal, one humanity world. We are the channel through which a diverse grouping of people can converge towards a single space, the sea of humanity common. We have evolved through and larger organized political spaces. We moved from tiny family groups to tribes, from tribes to villages, to regions, to kingdoms, and to nations, and finally to large federated spaces. Today, destiny demands us to take a step further and anchor a new world harmony on a global scale, embracing the ancient indigenous wisdom of Vasudhaiva Kutumbakam, or world as a family. It needs a new way of organizing cells that guarantees general stability and unblocks everyone's talent everywhere. We would like to announce that we are gathered here to lay the foundations of the new world, one humanity, and we must be here from those who can contribute to make noble ambition a reality. We are a generation with the capacity to act. Not only can we dream and imagine more than any previous generation, but we can also transform dream ideas into reality. That is why we not stop. And I firmly believe that this movement is unstoppable. Let us listen to all who can enlighten us to how to achieve this. Let us step towards this profound transformation of our world. We need a guiding North Star to eliminate the drift towards confrontation, and the conviction must impel us to a future where innovation holds the key and helps foster freedom everywhere. Thank you so much, gentlemen. It's been pleasure listening to valuable insights from so many speakers so far, and I look forward to such beautiful thoughts that will lead us to lasting peace and harmony, to society and to prosperity with equity and inclusion. Thank you so much. It's an honor, privilege to present before you.
Thanks. Thanks a lot.
Thank you, Ms. Chandramika, for this thought-provoking presentation on resurgence of RAC. Thank you. The next item on the is a panel discussion on the global environment and how to respond. Chair by Mr. Leonardo Cook.
Weren't you gonna invite channel? We just saying there's a youth space. It's 12:35. You asked. I don't know whether you should have thought it was back.
vamos a aprovechar a hacer un breve un paréntesis, vamos a decir, para darle la oportunidad a los jóvenes que no se dio el panel en el momento que teníamos previsto. Si nos están escuchando, el joven Daniel, vamos, para que nos haga una breve presentación, una breve palabra. Tiene la palabra si está allí.
Daniel, libera tu micrófono.
Vale, hola, buenos días. Bueno, yo llevo 16 años trabajando con jóvenes, organizo fiestas para menores sin alcohol en discotecas de Madrid y hasta los 27 años no tuve una conciencia de la espiritualidad y de la unión que nos une como seres vivos. A raíz del COVID sufrí un aislamiento de un año y pico y ahí profundicé en la conciencia, la espiritualidad, y llevé a mi empresa esa espiritualidad que se ha ido contagiando y extendiendo con nuestra gente. Nosotros trabajamos con un sistema multinivel donde una persona invita a varias personas, y esas personas pueden invitar a otras, y si esas personas compran entradas ganan puntos para conseguir entradas gratis. De esta forma tenemos un sistema que ha conseguido más de 100.000 niños en Madrid en una aplicación propia, una red social propia que hemos creado sin censura y la cual a futuro queríamos utilizar como una red de comunicación con una esta como esta que en nosotros. Uno de los principales problemas que tenemos en el siglo es que los medios de comunicación están comprados por el mismo poder que nos somete y el mismo poder que habla en un mundo en el que no hay igualdad y que habla de justicia en un mundo que no hay justicia. Entonces, los problemas que se me planteaban cuando comprendí todo esto era cómo comunicar al mundo una opción para que la gente vote una opción no de un partido político, sino de una unión de todos bajo un mismo. Y el problema era la red de comunicación, porque está controlado y todo censurado. Es decir, si ahora queremos salir al mundo con este mensaje, nos limitan por todos lados y nos silencian. Y por eso construí mi propia red social, para que en el blog pudiese tener una oportunidad de comunicar este mensaje. Y bueno, la red está en construcción porque solo son 100.000 niños y eso no es nada. Pero la idea era poder llegar a todos los hogares de un país, por ejemplo, para comunicar una idea con una reforma de una constitución, cambiase las leyes y cambiase las normas del juego. No quería montar un partido político, no quería pedir votos para un partido, sino votos para disolver todos los partidos que había, porque ninguno de los partidos que hay ahora mismo, por ejemplo, por poner ejemplo en España, nos representa. Ninguno representa los intereses de los ciudadanos, ninguno representa los intereses del pueblo, que pide su jefe de partido, y esto no es una de verdad. Y hay muchos jóvenes que lo ven, hay muchos jóvenes que se van conectando digamos que van llegando a nuestra estructura y lo ven, tienen nobles ambiciones y buen corazón. Y uno de los principales problemas que vamos a tener con la nueva generación es la falta de amor, porque el sistema los ha aislado. Decía antes de ayer en la presentación de la mañana, antiguamente una persona de la familia trabajaba y sustentaba a la familia mientras otra persona criaba a los hijos y acompañaba en el hogar. Y ahora eso no existe. Ahora los niños solos los educa un sistema educativo que los adoctrina para pensar, para no preguntar y para obedecer sin cuestionar. Los niños no tienen una comunicación emocional con sus padres, no saben de gestión emocional y se refugian en abstraerse de los problemas y de las emociones para no pensar. Y el problema es que los hace menos conectados a la esencia, menos conectados a los demás. Las redes sociales, la televisión, lo que ven, lo que escuchan, están destruyendo la humanidad. Los niños cada vez que están más conectados a eso que el sistema empuja, son menos humanos. Por suerte, hay algunos que están desconectados de esa falsa fuente que con Dios, y hay esperanza, pero es importante crear organismos como lo que estáis haciendo aquí, pero para niños, donde los niños puedan participar en debate, en discusión, porque tienen una necesidad importante de protagonismo, de ser partícipes de eso, de cualquier proceso. Ellos, por ejemplo, no extraen porque son partícipes. Todos somos iguales, aunque haya varios rangos, y todos pueden opinar, todos tienen derecho a hablar y a dar ideas. Y esto que teníais en la aplicación para proponer cambios, debatir, lo he visto muy bueno en este sentido. Y para acabar, gracias por el trabajo que lleváis haciendo tanto tiempo, porque era una desesperación pensar que no había personas unidas en el mundo luchando por el bien, y cuando os conocí, pues me ha dado una esperanza mayor y un consuelo saber que no solo el mal está organizado, sino que personas buenas velando por hacer un mundo más justo.
Thanks a lot, Daniel. I don't know translation, it was too right. No sé si la traducción al inglés era suficientemente buena.
No, lo que pasó es que Daniel no ajustó la traducción y entonces el sistema no lo pudo tomar. O sea, solo lo escucharon los hispanos.
Sorry.
Sorry.
In any case, for English people, he was thanking this Federation of Earth, this work, and all these people engaged in this commitment. For this youth generation is a great hope. Thanks, Daniel.
Igualmente.
The same for thanks to all. If I have only a minute for English people, only adding that hearing about the manipulation in all media in general, and the necessity for children and youth generation to be able to have a free and respectful media all over, etc. Then they are in a fight about getting the most best results ahead, trusting in the best of humankind. He feels in line with all that is manifesting the contents of our deep, profound feelings in this meeting. Thanks to all. Thanks.
Sir, how about this?
Now we have a panel discussion on global environment and how to respond. The panel discussion by Leopold Cook. So or to Mr. Neil. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Well, I guess all of us can become panelists. Yes, because we, including me, are equally level. Are all working in the environment. But I only want to say to begin that when I speak to people about the environment, sometimes I take a candy, I take the paper, I throw it to the floor, and people say, "Hey, what's happening? The bottle is going to speak about environment in the floor paper. What's that?" And I ask them, "What do you think the Mother Earth thinks about that?" I think Mother Earth prefer I throw it in the floor, because if I throw it in the basket, it's going to the dumping of the city. And what is more contaminating? The problem that our concept of ecology is anthropocentric, because what we really want is not to see the garbage. Yes, put it in the dump. I don't want to see it. But we don't think in the Mother Earth. But really need Mother that we recycle that waste. I say to the people that work in environment, they go to the rivers to take the garbage, that the people that go and throw it. And I say, what are you doing? You are saying to people that they can continue throwing the garbage because you are coming later to pick it up for them. You are not doing it. So, what we need to do for environment is to see not the effects, but the causes of the problem. We go to the root of the problem. I ask many persons about what are the problems about the environment, and they speak, okay, the hot, there is no water, pollution, and what they mean is the effects, but they don't look too much behind to the causes. I only want to show you and to begin the discussion and a slide that I have worked with some persons. You know, here over there, the effects, and here the causes. I begin to ask which are. Okay, they say pollution, migration, economic impact, and so on. Then I begin to ask them, well, why there is economic impact? And they say, oh, because diseases, because poverty, migration. And why do we have migration? Oh, because the expansion of the. And why do we have that? And then we come back and back to the cause. Okay, the pollution. The worst is one of the causes of the pollution. But also the green gases, etc. Then we come back and back and back, and what we get? Well, the big problem we need to deal with. We have the little awareness of people. Always, we are all dream in a dream. The system has all the in a dream. We have the national state concept of what is the paradigm of the modernism that is anthropocentric, egocentric, excessively rationalistic, separates everything. We have the profit-based economy and the capitalism. So I say that, as President Chavez said, one, don't change climate, change the system. If you change the system, then the effects are going down and the environment will be okay. So the message that I think we need to give to the people is that I don't want to go to the river to pick up the waste of the person saying that I'm going to do the work they have done, they should have done. We need is to go to the causes, circularize the economy, the waste, because normally when they speak of they try to put the charge on the consumer. So you have to recycle, you have to waste less. But how can we do in a minor scale? If I recycle it at home, I can do the 0.000% of the recycling. That's not the solution. It's to change the system. The industry should be a cycle. And the law should search a way that industry recycle in a big scale. This product, after review, should go into the factory, not to the waste. But we need for that law to mechanism that we as citizens cannot do. That has to be done by the authorities to design the system in a circular way. So that's the initial message I wanted to give here. We need to think how to do to give awareness to people of this big problem. The problem is not there. The problem is not in the facts. The problem is in the causes. Okay. Then with that, we have some time. 30 minutes. So please, you can ask the floor. Remember, you have to use the microphone.
I will take the same example. I'll just take the same example and let's see how we can go on this. Now, this is called a mineral water. Well, how much of mineral content is there in this and what all changes have happened in this bottle? This is a very, very big question. Point number one. So, we, in the name of clean water, we are using this. And this remains myself, Murtichi, during our time, you and I know what kind of water we drank. And still we survived. And even now, I decided on a All India rally, and I was not totally focusing on this water. Still, I'm okay. So therefore, there is something. Where is the money? Is making the money? That is one point. The second point is that we know in democracy, it is always for the people, by the people, and of the people. So therefore, however many legislations are there, however many laws are there, as our friend has rightly said, that awareness is primarily important. And the root of this, what is this actually, and what exactly is it doing? Is it really doing a favor or not? This is that element of awareness is what people all over the world should have first. And that the people of the world, by virtue of a revised education system, they should all get into that responsibility. And responsibility, in opinion, is fourfold: ethical and moral, individual responsibility, ethical family responsibility, ethical and organizational responsibility, ethical and moral societal responsibility. Are we teaching this for the kids and the grown-ups on a continual basis? And education must be a continuity, not in terms of degrees, post-graduations and doctorates, and then there is a it. So, if you take this one particular example, it is very clear what is the role of the government as well as the people. It is a totalitarian combined effort. This is what I would like to highlight to WCPA. Here's to come that we're going to refine the development. The role of everybody matters. All of 820 crore people matter, and that's what we need to emphasize. Thank you.
Please, let me finish sharing to see the people. Is someone here in the room or in Zoom to speak? Yeah, we see here Manuel Galignani. Oh, sorry. Manuel, please open your mic.
Yeah, thank you. Good afternoon, everyone. Again. Thank you for allowing me to speak a few minutes. Leopoldo has already given a thorough overview of the problem, and I will be very brief. Well, when we talk about the global environment and how to respond, we really are talking about something fundamental, the survival of our home, only planet we got. So we all know the facts: change, biodiversity loss, deforestation, rising seas. The signs are everywhere. By decades of international and hundreds of environmental meetings, the truth is we are still falling behind. Why? Because our system of global environmental governance is fragmented, weak, and still trapped in the old logic of national sovereignty. Think about it. We've created a vast network of international agreements. The Paris Climate Accord, the Convention on Biodiversity, and so many others. But most of them depend on voluntary commitments. And when national interests collide with global needs, the planet loses. The outcome of the recent COP30 is just the latest example. Endless bargaining, negotiations. You're still not tangible or yeah, not tangible or effective results. Now, some reformers.
I'm going to silence all mics and you open yours again.
Manuel, debes encender tu micrófono de nuevo, por favor.
Okay, that's fine. No, I repeat. I was saying that some reformers suggest creating a world environment organization or a UN Council on Sustainable Development. These ideas could help a bit. Better coordination, more visibility, but they don't change the deeper problem. They still rely on the same state-centered system that has kept global action slow and inconsistent. So how can we think differently? one big governance. Sounds technical, I know, but the concept is simple. Instead of one big top-down institution trying to manage everything, nested systemic governance imagines a network of interconnected systems, local, regional, and global, working together. Think of it like an ecosystem of governance, adaptive, flexible, constantly learning and adjusting. But, and this is the key, it still depends on a state that claims their sovereignty. Without global constitutional authority, it can't fully protect the global commons. It's like trying to steer a ship when everyone on board has their own rudder. So what's the step? That's where a more ambitious idea comes in, a world federation grounded in a world constitution. Now, that might sound idealistic, maybe utopian. But imagine this, instead of governments negotiating what they be willing to do, humanity as a whole agreed a binding constitutional framework, a democratic foundation for governing the planet together. Such a federation wouldn't replace nations, it would connect them into shared possible rules for protecting our common home. It could be democratic, accountable, and grounded in the consent of the world's citizens, not just their governments. Changes doesn't begin at the top, it starts from below. That's the idea behind the creation of eco-civic communities. These are local, participatory communities, villages, towns, even city neighborhoods that link local environmental care with global ecological responsibility. They operate on two simple principles: subsidiarity, do things as locally as possible, and solidarity, act together when local action isn't enough. Eco-civic communities help people move from being spectators to participants in ecological democracy. They form the living roots of a new kind of planetary citizenship. So, how should we respond to the global environmental crisis? I say in 3 steps. 1, strengthen what we already have, make existing institutions accountable. 2, build adapted, connected systems like nested systemic governance. And 3, evolve toward a democratic world federation that can protect the Earth system as our shared home. It may sound like a dream, but so did abolishing slavery, the colonizing empires, or creating the United Nations. So in the 20th century, it's about learning to cooperate across borders. Then the 21st must be about learning to live together for the sake of life on Earth itself. Thank you.
Thanks, Manuel.
I speak something. Can you hear me? I want to share about only one way we have to create a circular economical model. And this circular economical model, only one solution for save our civilization. And this circular model, economical model, possible create only
we have air government. Without air government, it is not possible to create air circular economical model. And I very happy see all of this activity, and I think very soon for this air circular economical model, and together we have new nice work and very green, clean. Thank you very much.
Leopoldo, abre el micrófono.
Hola, abre el micrófono, por favor. Leopoldo.
എന്തുവാണ് നോക്കുന്നേ ജീപ്പ് അത് കാണുകയാണെ അമ്മ അതിങ്ങനെ നോക്കിയിട്ടാ കട്ടിലെ വെച്ചെടുത്ത് അമ്മയെ നോക്കിയാൽ കുഴപ്പമില്ല കൊണ്ടുവെക്കട്ടെ അതിനെന്താ
Leopoldo.
Raúl, ya le envié la solicitud de abrir micrófono. Vamos a esperar.
Gracias.
Dr. Marty's mic is muted. Could you unmute it?
Leopardo mic is muted. Leopardo, please unmute your mic.
When I silence all the mics, please open it again. Yes.
I just want to briefly go back to Leopoldo's analysis, in which he shows that the destruction of the planetary environment, as we move backward to the ultimate causes, is the system, the world system. And the two main prongs of the world system, as we've seen, I think several times in our discussion so far, two main prongs of the world system are the system of sovereign nation states and the system of global capitalism. Both of these systems come from the 17th century, totally outdated, 375 years ago, when they were looking at the cosmos entirely differently than we look at it now. As I said in my opening remarks the other day, they were atoms. They saw human beings as things that needed to be entrepreneurial, and each human being could work themselves and accumulate for themselves, and the total framework of all these people working for themselves and accumulating for themselves, they said, common good. It was a lie. Everybody's working for themselves and trying to accumulate for themselves. The result is not the common good, but common disaster. Capitalism is a theory of wealth creation. It involves investment. From the investment, one procures resources, human resources, and natural resources. One takes these resources and puts them into a productive environment, produces something, and then one transports this to consumers who consume those produced products and discard them when they're broken, discard when they're finished with them, discard the portion of them that is not edible or usable. It's a linear system. And the linear system says nothing. Zero. Adam Smith, in his classic work, The Wealth of Nations, he says nothing about the environment. Because capitalism is not about the environment, it is about human beings accumulating for themselves in an atomistic fashion. And the negative consequences of that accumulation in the form of waste, in the form of environmental destruction, in the form of the rape of Earth and its natural resources, are simply part of doing business. We, and this is part of the genius of the Earth Constitution, that it integrates Article 8.7, the World Financial System. It integrates debt-free, risk-free money available to everyone without collateral who has a project that can protect and restore planetary environment. A totally different system, not a system of capitalism. In fact, under the one of the legislative, the Provisional World Parliament, I believe it's World Legislation number 22. It's called the Global Equity Act. And under that act, enterprise was not abolished. People are free to produce things and create things, but if their production and their creation of things exceeds a wage or an income differential of more than 4-to-1, anything above that 4-to-1 differential goes to in the environment, goes to restoring the forests of the earth, and so on. So what the Parliament decided is the implication of the Earth Constitution was that no planet Earth would have more than 4 times the wealth of any other person, and the poorest person who only 1 time would have a standard of living that's adequate for human dignity and food, clothing, and shelter. That's the implications of the Earth Constitution. It gets rid of not only the sovereign nation system and their war system, but it gets rid of the capitalist system of exploitation, domination, and destruction of the environment. Thank you.
I have a point related to that.
Well, I would like to add a few words, if that's possible.
Hello. Well, I have a very significant point to contribute here. I think gone are the days when we should continue to use this word called industry. The underlying meaning of this word industry is you have a product and you need a capital and you need a working capital to run. And for that product, some R&D and fishness will want to as much money out of that and keep going. This is the typical definition of an industry. Correct? Now, I think time has come in the history of the world to completely scrap that idea and the concept, and in its place, introduce what is called as project model of working. Now, if you closely watch at how a project operates, the project works for a particular purpose. Say, for example, a metro rail has to be established. They would complete that particular project, and after that, the job is done. And they exit out. So, similarly, any products and services at a point of time, to the extent that is wanted, has to be continued. And after it's outdating, or if it is not adding value, for example, the automobile industry wants to stuff vehicle after vehicle on the road, but where is the road to run? So these are all the practical problems. So therefore, there has to be an overall consciousness in every aspect of what is going on. And I strongly feel that time has come to scrap this word industry, and in its place, have projects, do it on the need based, and then after that, come out of that. And I'm not very sure about this 4:1. Let me do my homework on that, and I'll come back. Thank you.
Alicia,
Good morning.
Alicia Rodas,
Yeah. Yeah. You can hear me?
Yes.
Okay. Well, I would like to add some ideas about. Sorry, a moment. Well, just a moment. I was prepared, but not just now. Well, I go on in English and in Spanish. I would like to congratulate with all ideas in here and to emphasize some of them. The circular economy, as it was, the experience was last in 19. Me gustaría incidir en varias ideas en que la economía circular fue experimentada ya en 1990. I would like also said about the importance of alternative energies, etc. And say that I put an article on WhatsApp groups of environmental issues yesterday. It's only 3 pages that can be helpful for everybody. Añadí ayer un artículo de medio ambiente que puede ser útil para todo el mundo. But overall, pero sobre todo, the most important issue, el asunto más importante, es nuestro compromiso con la paz. The most important issue is our commitment with peace, because the most toxic for nature, for humankind, for beings, for everything is war. War. And lo más tóxico del mundo es el tema de guerra, las armas, desde su proceso de conseguir los recursos hasta su utilización y su destrucción cuando son armas obsoletas. The whole process of arms is a toxic one. Even when mostly are used, and at the end, even if they must be thrown away because they are obsolete. Entonces, then our commitment, nuestro compromiso is overall with peace. Without peace cannot be possible to save environmentally our planet. Sin paz no podemos, sin nuestro compromiso, no podemos salvar el planeta. Thanks then to this Federation of the Earth, gracias a esta Federación de la Tierra, for its commitment with peace and with environment. Gracias a esta Federación de la Tierra y Constitución Mundial, por este compromiso, la paz y con el medio ambiente. Muchas gracias. Thanks very much. Thanks indeed. Thanks very much.
Gracias a ti. Ok, muchas gracias a todos. Vamos al siguiente tema. Thank you very much. Thank you, Ms. Alicia. The next item on the agenda is presentation by two academicians, distinguished academicians, who are also on the board of academic studies of WCPA. I request Professor Hemlata Talesra and Professor Rajeshwari Kamalamba to make a presentation on Sri Aurobindo introduction to world government. So Professor Hemlata, Professor Hemlata, are you there? She is there. You are muted. Can you unmute yourself, please? Please unmute yourself. Professor Hemlata, you are muted. I hear you. We can't hear you, ma'am. You are muted. Professor Hemlata, you're right. She's speaking, right? She's speaking. You are muted, ma'am. They cannot share it. See, that's the microphone. Miss Hemlata, Professor Hemlata, you are muted. I can't hear you. Que no puede oírte.
Now, right.
Now it is okay. Please go on.
Okay. I am starting my ideas with the slight introduction of Sri Aurobindo. Birth on 15th August, and he left the world on December 5th, 1950. He was a renowned Indian philosopher, yogi, Maharishi, poet, spiritual leader, and a nationalist. He was an influential figure who bridged the realm of spirituality and nationalism. His life journey marked by a revolutionary activism, profound spiritual exploration, and pioneering philosophical teaching made him a unique leader who impacted both India's struggle for independence and global struggle for situation, spiritual landscape, propounded a philosophy of divine life on earth through spiritual evolution. His ideas on world union and world under the Earth Constitution is a testament to his forwarding thinking approach to global governance. Sri Aurobindo's vision was based on his dreams. I want to add his dreams first, then his ideas. His first dream was the freedom and united India. Second dream was the resurgence and liberation of the people of Asia and progress of human civilization. Third was the most important and related to my topic was the word union. The way to bring unity is described by him. Fourth was the spiritual gift of India to the world, and the gift was peace, tolerance, non-violence, yoga, and other important aspects. And last was the step in evolution and involution towards downward and upward, which would raise a higher and larger consciousness and begin the solution of the problems, which have perplexed the think and dream of individual perfection and perfect society. The key features of Sri Aurobindo vision was global citizenship, mutual understanding, and of to face the global challenges, peaceful conflict resolution, and encouraging non-violence and protection of human race to ensure the individuality of individual. The complete word of Sri Aurobindo on New Vision of the Future of Earth was published in a uniform library, edited of 7 volumes. So now I'm going on the third vision, which is most important. The third vision was a quest for global unity. It is articulated 15th August 1947. The program, a world union forming the outer basis of a bright and noble life for mankind, primarily verified by his book, The Idea of Human Unity and Human Cycle. It was word union and established in the year 1960 as registered society with the blessings of Mother Meera Alfasa of Sri Aurobindo Ashram, Pondicherry. Word union endeavors to create awareness about the inevitable transformation of human nature, the practice of integral yoga with the aim of unity, mutuality, and harmony. Word union endeavors to foster in all people the consciousness of oneness of life and essential soul unit of humanity. According to Sri Aurobindo, the evolutionary process of human unity is possible only through yogic experiences. In his view, every person is yogi, and individual and collective yoga, this is union, are closely related. This would change the world a much better place to live in. The key aspect of union are: number one, each nation would be free to develop its own unique spirit and culture. Being a part of global system where all nations are. The second was each nation contribute its unity and unique quality without being absorbed in a monolithic structure, which is unity in diversity. And the third was inner transformation. Sri Aurobindo believed that any lasting union must be built on internal transformation, where individual and nation develop greater sense of oneness, compassion, and love. Then is spiritual foundation, collective efforts to raise consciousness at higher spiritual level. And Indian spiritual role is also important as moral and spiritual guide. India helps in balance materialism with spirituality without losing its identity. The humanity in spiritual role. India with its unique spiritual heritage, offering wisdom, moral for integrating material and spiritual progress. Evolutionary process, ongoing, requiring individuals to cultivate greater role, greater love, compassion, and sense of interconnectedness to achieve a higher and larger consciousness. Evolution onward and even also important. Then in a unique yoga is a union or unite with a universal consciousness. The transformation of each consciousness can truly opens when more number of individuals become consciousness and aspire collectively for a higher unifying consciousness. By realizing the standard of human interactions governed by more love, more compassion, and greater sense of oneness, world union and endeavors to foster for our life of understanding, tolerance, and active good words, all from one's family, circle to society, the nation, and the world. The Divine Mother, Meera Alfasa of Sri Aurobindo Ashram, Pondicherry was the president of World Union and continues to remain as the permanent president of this union. In his speech, gave his message as the motto of World Union. With her blessings, a World Union based on the fact of human unity, realizing the truth of the Spirit. World Union is a movement, a wave, a voice, an urge in the world to found its wholeness and harmony and believe the truth lies in unity and diversity. Therefore, the World Union seeks to organize and establish different centers, institutes, and affiliates and organizations in India and institution of literature also. And also the role of World Parliament. According to Sri Aurobindo, the World Parliament has a critical role in protecting people's human rights and most effective way to secure rights and end abuse for Parliament to support human rights. It will create a conducive environment in which parliaments, governments, national human rights institutions, civil society, along with international partners can work together. Sri Aurobindo supported working partnership with the United Nations, in particular its office of the United Nations High Commissioner for Human Rights. For this, the practical step was encouraging Parliament to rectify and implement specific, mobilizing MPs to address the challenges like to trafficking in children and life, child labor, etc. And Art Constitution. Sri Aurobindo did not propose a conventional political Art Constitution. His vision for the future society based on inner spiritual transformation. They would be moving by the need for external mental based laws on social structures. According to him, the current stage of human consciousness is not the final evolutionary step. The next inevitable step is the emergence of the supermental, which is inherently aware of the unity of all existence. So, according to Sri Aurobindo, the Earth Constitution is not a written harmonious functioning, and it is early is the most example of this. Early Earth Constitution Institute aims to research, develop, promote, and transform Earth-based technological, which are cost and emerging effective. Early is mental township founded in 1968 to serve as a center for humanitarian, and the World Parliament, as enlisted by Sri Aurobindo, would be a representative comprising members from diverse backgrounds and nations. Its primary function would be to create a framework for global governments in the interest of humanity. So, to conclude my presentation, it is worthwhile to say that Sri Aurobindo idea remains relevant and encouraging us to strive for a better future for all humanity. His vision on world union and world constitution offers a compelling framework for global governance, inspired for a more harmonious and prosperous world. And his publication, The Life of Divine and Savitri, developed a philosophy of integrity yoga. And this year, we are celebrating Sri Aurobindo birth century. He is known to barely a handful of men, and yet his name will resound when the great men of today or yesterday are buried under their own breast. Thank you very much to all of you for giving me this chance to speak my words here. Thank you.
Salata.
Thank you.
Sure is here.
Yes, ma'am. Can you hear me, ma'am? Hello. Can you hear me? I am here, ma'am.
Yes.
Can you hear me, ma'am?
You start.
Can you hear me, ma'am?
Yes, you start.
Rajeshwari, ma'am, you are audible. I think
there are glitches at your end. You are on the way, I believe.
Now I will start. Yes. One minute.
Rajeshwari is starting. She is joining and starting. Okay, okay. She's starting.
Presentation.
She's starting.
Not on.
Yeah. She is joining and starting. Dr. Rajeshwari is starting.
I think everyone now drinking chai. Chai time.
Por favor, alguien le diga que encienda su micrófono. Gracias.
Por favor, Encender el micrófono.
You unmute, please.
I think we should get. The next person, next item on the agenda is the panel discussion. Excuse me, the next item on the agenda is panel discussion on the levels and personalities of human consciousness. Now, the last panel discussion for the day on the issue of levels and potentialities of human consciousness, shared by Dr. Rodal. Thank you.
Now,
Already started panel discussion.
yes, ma'am.
With the permission of the chair, you start.
Now I will start, ma'am. Yes. So it is Arbino's philosophy. We know that all will oppose immunity. That's the problem. Hello, ma'am.
With the permission of the chair, you can first you take permission from the chair.
Already, please.
Hello.
You take permission from the chair because they already started panel discussion.
Yes.
With the permission of chair, you can start.
Yes. With the permission of the chair, shall I start now? Yes. Is it, ma'am, permitted? Permitted or not? Is it possible to share my thoughts on human climate? Ma'am. Hello.
We are hearing you.
Okay. Shall I start, ma'am?
Start.
Yes. So, Arvindo's philosophy, we all know that he is what ma'am said is a fact that Arvindo's inclusion of Arvindo's philosophy in this World Peace Parliament is very relevant because Arvindo's philosophy is focusing on inner peace as well as outer peace. So that we are always focusing on the our own nature or the in our own environment. That environment is definitely external environment. The nature means that external environment. But we have to move on our internal environment also. Arabindo's philosophy highlight the need for sustainability of our inner peace and internal environment. So the Human Climate Act is very important according to Arabindo's philosophy. So today I am focusing on that. The Human Climate Act. It is the recognition of energy in its fullness. The energy means both inner energy that is dealing with the individual and also the outer energy that is dealing with the environmental or external factors. So environment we have to protect. We have to make individual scenarios that also is to be sustainable, and Arab philosophy focus on that. Then this parliament of the world peace acknowledges that the ultimate source of planetary sustainability and peace is the fundamental energy and well-being of the human consciousness. That human consciousness and collective society. So Arabindo's philosophy is highly relevant to this world peace parliament objectives. These objectives. And the inner heat, what I mean is, according to Arabindo, it is mental, that is the individual mental and emotional health. That is, it is the core energy for global stability. That is inner climate. It is inner peace energy. It's current depletion. That means the stress, anxiety, conflict. This is a crisis that demands new laws now, and these laws are to be framed by our parliament or the government. How to make sustainable inner peace. The outer heat, according to Arabindo, this outer heat is the immense friction created by the external environment, that is social, political, and economic interaction. And all these social, political, and economic interactions definitely will affect our nature, our mother earth. This friction shows up as a conflict, injustice, and polarization. It is global potential and prevent cooperation of worldwide cooperation, which we need for aid and worldwide stability. We all are in such circumstances and environment. There is a need of both inner heat maintenance and outer heat maintenance. There should be a balance. Then only sustainable development is there, and then we have the human climate. That is according to Arabindo's philosophy. Arabindo, in shaping of emotional climate, he has given that the combination and interaction of this individual well-being and social friction due to the above mentioned conflicts directly determine the global emotional climate. Shared atmosphere of trust, optimism, collectivity, which we know that we should be actively managed, cultivated, facilitate durable solutions to physical, environmental, and geopolitical crises. All these are actually only discussed in this parliament. And the social welfare imperative that we have to look upon this parliament and must ensure all economic and environmental policies, because not of India but the world, because ours is world parliament, the world different nations have policies we have to look upon that. So ensure all economic and environmental policies are aligned with protecting and improving the human condition, making true sustainability depend on human well-being integrity. That is actually highlighted in Aurobindo's philosophy. So now, therefore, this parliament is the human climate. So that should be there. Human climate for 25 or 26 to protect people's emotional well-being, reduce the energy wasted by social conflicts, and build a peaceful emotional climate that supports lasting care for the planet. That is mentioned directly in Aurobindo's philosophy. That is its relevance. Then the global mental resilience is very important. The inner heat mandate focuses on individual well-being and is the most direct expression of this legislation or legislative priority. The inner is a harm by stress and isolation, creating a systematic energy crisis. So here we are always witnessing wars, conflicts, violence everywhere. Even we have climatic degradation, then we have the geographic degradation. And so we should have to concentrate on implementing the Aurobindo's philosophy, which can be possible World Parliament, because they engage many social agencies, non-governmental agencies, even government, they are prioritizing law and all the philosophies and principles of Arabindo, but still it is not possible. But Parliament, they can do it alone, because education and curricular integration, mandating the introduction of emotional intelligence and mindfulness-based reduction programs as core subjects, so that we are able to develop education for consciousness. So Aurobindo's philosophy, or Aurobindo, he focuses on education for consciousness, which will lead to peace, which will lead to a sustainability of inner peace as well as outer peace. There will we are able to establish, not establish. We all people are able to maintain. We are able to formulate a relationship. There is no need of establishing, or there is no need of teaching everybody to establish this relationship between inner peace and outer peace, or inner energy and outer energy. So that is overcome by education for total consciousness, which is the highlight of Aurobindo's philosophy. So we have focused on Aurobindo's philosophy, and I think that more discussions are needed for that. So due to the lack of time, I think the time is over, isn't it? About the time, shall I continue? Oh, so I will. Yes, I am concluding. That is establishment and governance of the social cohesion initiative. It is possible. Universal dialogue training, like this parliament, allow others also. The layman also should be given much awareness on all these aspects. Not only educated people, because they have their own vision, but everybody should have the right to get awareness on all these aspects. That is Aurobindo's of the vision. So we have to fulfill that. Also, that generational or intercultural exchange programs are to be provided. Digital bridge building. That is now it is a digital era. So that is digital bridge building is to be there. So by reducing outer heat, the parliament guarantees a safe, more predictable environment for citizens and perhaps it becomes a legislative outcome. Lower social translates directly into higher policy constraints, economic efficiency, and a balanced emotional climate. So I urge this parliament do not stand paralyzed by the external climate, while the internal human climate deteriorates. External climate crisis. So pass the human climate and also in the event in the next parliament, because let us legislate for the human cities, carrying that the energy of humanity is a force for sustainable and progress. Thank you very much.
Now we'll move on to the last panel discussion of the day on the levels and potentials of human consciousness, shared by Professor Ralph. Over to Professor Ralph. Thank you. This is a message for the government of India. Greetings from the Provisional World Parliament, which follows the message by Shadaiva Hitumaka. We thank the Honorable Prime Minister of the Government of India, Mr. Narendra Modi, for the clearance given to us for the 16th Provisional World Parliament session held in Pondicherry between the 7th and the 10th of December. India, which has shown great progress in its endeavor for world peace and prosperity, has been unanimous by the delegates to have the Provisional Parliament Secretary here in India in Bangalore. Bangalore, not far from the land of Sri Aurobindo, Pondicherry, has been given the status of has given to Pondicherry the status of a world district under the Constitution for the Federation of Earth. May God bless the world, and thank you, Prime Minister Modi.
Right.
Excuse me, several camera.
Very nice simple word. And since everything is simple and faster, have time to take them in, I would love to have like 2 or 3 minutes of silence meditation, because the subject is consciousness. And I like to have an unobserved meditation. We are related to the consciousness. So we're always conscious when we sleep during the night time. In the morning we wake up, we just suddenly say, oh, I'm conscious of what I'm doing. But actually I've always been deeply embedded, involved in, and held by divine consciousness. So just this night, as I have a problem sleeping, always when I travel and there's nights I can't sleep, it takes some days for me to catch up. So I 2 o'clock in the morning, I woke up and I said to myself, what could I say about consciousness? And I've had, just as an introduction, something very, very basic. That consciousness is an extension of perception, of feeling. It's empathy to seeing and understanding through insight. Consciousness is going beyond the limits of one's ego. It is awareness to witnessing all that is in our reach. And so consciousness is openness, connection within oneself, with others, with the divine. In this sense, consciousness is like yoga. Yoga usually in Sanskrit means to connect, to combine. Consciousness is the possibility to reach out to see, to contemplate. Consciousness, like consciencia, comes from the Latin verb scire, which means to know, and scientia, knowledge. Same German sign from the verb listen, to know. That is from Latin videre, to see. It's always between seeing and knowing. From Latin videre, which means to see. To see is to understand, as we say in English, oh, I see. Oh, yeah, meaning I understand. Videre, Latin comes from Greek vignai, which is also to know, but actually to see. But we also got the word in English, idea. Something that is seen innerly, interiorly. And in Spanish or Italian, we have it as a verb, idear, which means to mentally imagine. No, idear. As we take the word knowledge goes back to the Latin cognoscere, which is from Greek gnosko, which all goes back to Sanskrit root of jna, to know. And to see Ahamjanami, I know. Nanya, knowledge. The way of seeing is limited, but can be amplified and increased. As we deliberately open up to receiving knowledge in a, let's say, graceful way from above or from deeper inside, according to the spatial methods reminding. All this is metaphorology, metaphor means to transport. Our inner seeing transports us to a higher or deeper consciousness. As we decide to open up to this possibility, which is not very popular, we have to decide to open up to this possibility. We are self-transcending beings. We are limited, but open to receiving infinity, because something infinite is in us, a divine spark. This is a knowledge Greek had, and this of course evident in India, in the Panipas, etc. In the early 1900s, the idea of consciousness has become paramount also for study by a psychiatrist, Richard Morris. In his book, Cosmic Consciousness, a study in the evolution of the human life. And today, of course, in psychology and philosophy, in what we are doing, consciousness is central idea. And in a way, as my friend Laura Masada said, we are the illusion of consciousness is taking place in a way that we are becoming conscious of divine consciousness. We are in the process of partaking of the complete consciousness that exists. We are consciously conscious. This is just a very short introduction for the panel. There are panels online. I think Byron is Michael Ellis.
Yes, yes, I'm here. Yes.
There is no Michael here. One Michael.
Hello, I'm Michael Ellis. I'm here. I'm online.
Thank you. Thank you. Because on panel is Michael Ellis, Glenn Martin, the poet, Byron Beditos, and Klaus Schumacher. Good morning. Thank you. Bye. And we, my name is Solomon. I invite Byron, Leopoldo, Bonnie to give input as refugees. Leopoldo, you're looking like you. Well, I thought about something, but when you spoke, I changed my view because I remember the 3 eyes of the theme I read from Ken Wheeler. I don't know if it is an original thinking of Ken Wheeler, but I see it as a way to get to the knowledge. This struggle of us, which are beginning with the material body, to get knowledge about the world, about everything. It speaks about the 3 eyes. The first eye is the perception by the ears, with all the senses. Very limited, but we don't know see all color, we do not hear all, we do not see this very far, we do not see very near. We have a lot of limitations. We see distortion, but the worst of all, that all that perception comes to the memory. We need memory to have perception. And memory is what? The vision of the world. If I have problems as a child with a dog, perception will be different as lens if he had a very nice. Perception depends on memory, on all our history, our senses. So it's very distorted, but allows us to look at the world. Like Manduranga says, we enlighten the world. We give light to the world. That means that the world is there, but everyone has a different light. According to the history, to the memories, according to the quality of our sense. So we illuminate the world. The world is really there, but it's different for everyone. We do not see really how the world is, but then we have the second eye. And the second eye is the eye of the mind. Then we rationalize. We fill the gaps. We correct the distortion of the person. Use the logic. So we get a better approximation of the brain. In the course on Michael said that the mind permits you to reach the doors of the sky, of heaven, but just the doors. Not enough to get in, but at least it allows you to go beyond your perception, perfect it with the mind, and get to the door. But then comes the third eye. And the third is the spiritual one, the one of the, how do you call it? When you get something without thinking it, you get the whole thing that is impossible to the eyes of the body and the eyes of the mind.
Intuition.
It's like something like intuition. No, it's another word that it's like an illumination. When you get in a
Revelation.
you don't find no words to express it. Like when you are meditating on something you, but still interesting. If you do not have a body, you do not have perception, then you never will have a possibility to get second eye, the eye of the mind, to get the idea of the world, because you need the perception to have an idea in the mind. But to have this third eye, you need the mind. Without the mind, you cannot even reach that illumination. Remember that, for example, that scientist that discovered the molecule of benzeno, that is circular, and he saw and never could, and he let it go. And then suddenly he sleeping, dreamt with a snake, with the snake being his own tail, circular. And he said, yes, the same is circular. But he came from nothing. No, he came for first the perception, then improving it with the second eye. And then when he let it go, it came, but he do not have thought a lot, but then to get that real, and that's what nearest can be of the knowledge of the consciousness. No? It's very, very interesting. So now I can leave that, or we can continue sharing. Thank you very much for your insights. Is one of those who are online ready to, or would like to contribute? Michael, please.
I'm here.
Michael,
Yeah. Can you hear me?
Yes.
Oh, good. There's a famous Buddhist story of Session Doji, who's desperately looking for truth. He's really, really looking for the ultimate truth of life and death. And then he saw a demon, and he said, "That demon, will you tell me the truth?" And the demon said, "Everything changes, nothing is the same." And he said to the demon, "Please finish the phrase. And if you no," and the demon said to him, and before he threw himself off the cliff, the demon told him the answer: overcoming the sufferings of everything is constant, nothing, everything changes, nothing is constant. Overcoming the sufferings of life and death, they gain enlightenment. He then threw himself off the mountain and was caught by the god Tataku, the Buddhist god. But I understand in the Nichiren concept of the Lotus Sutra, the human mind is not, it is always there, it's eternal. And the mind encompasses the total universe. And this cosmic mind is something that we have to come to grips with if we are to overcome the challenges of artificial intelligence. The essence of human potential is to realize we are much more than we think we are. We have been traumatized, colonized, historically abused for generations after generations. We have forgotten our innate potential. Many people, many scientists, many philosophers, many psychologists, many psychiatrists are now understanding we are more than just a reductive process. We're not just a reductive science. We're not just Newtonian reductive objects. We are intricate parts of the universe. And the universe itself is a self-referential living universe. It is not a materialistic and finite universe. In fact, they're now finding that when they get to the limits of the universe, like with the James Webb, they find the galaxies which are very mature. I think the universe is infinite, and I think there are many multi-universes, and myriads upon myriads of living organisms and living beings and senses. In fact, every single essence and every single particle of dust has that enlightenment in it. Everything is alive. When you go out on a summer's day, when you breathe, when you speak, you're expressing liveness. That liveness is reality. That reality is enlightenment. That enlightenment is consciousness. We cannot get away from consciousness because we are consciousness. The only thing that we need to do is to show consciousness of the human being is far, far superior to the consciousness of the artificial intelligence. I think that's been shown by various people, including, I can't remember his name now, it's a famous artist, the one that Hammer of somebody else, I can't remember his name, he's a famous Nobel scientist who found that we are vibrating, so far more significant than any artificial intelligence. And this is not surprising. When you look at a minute measurement of a cerebral cortex, you'll find thousands and thousands of neuronal connections. Infinite, more than the number of stars in the universe. But more than that, I think we have the capacity, because of our huge cerebral cortex. And remember, we're not just the brain and the brain, we're the brain in the heart, a brain in the stomach, the brain in our gut, and the brain in every single DNA that we have. Each DNA vibrates photonic information. That creates the light body around us. We are much more than we think we are. We illuminate and express light. We are light beings as well as everything else. We are vibratory quantum worlds in a universe. We are minds, many bodies, but were entangled, as Belsian said, as the theory of proven by Anna Expect in 1982 in Paris showed. Two electrons in the same spin will spin together absolutely in parallel, no matter what part of the universe they're in. It's an instant connection. And this shows that, according to Bardens' latest book from Institute of Genetic Sciences, that we are all integrated into a oneness, and our DNA is that, if you like, that expression of that reality that we are one. But we're not just one in the human capacity, we're one with the totality of this mind, of this nature. We're in totality and one with the universe, with Earth. The Earth is a beautiful cosmic being. The galaxy is a cosmic being. In fact, every single galaxy and solar system human has around them a torus, which is the special electromagnetic field, including other waveforms that express the human heart, which radiates to an extent of 6 to 12 feet. And there's a lot of research on that heart math. We're finding that people are in coherence in their hearts. They create coherence everywhere around them. There's so many ways to coherence, and so many ways in which we can enhance the ability to have psychic abilities, remote viewing, psychokinesis, telepathy. We all have those capacities, but we're not using them because we don't know about them, because we've lost them, but we have them. After years of colonialism, historical abuse, we've forgotten. We have to awaken up to our true consciousness and our true human potential. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Michael.
Thank you, Michael.
Nate, would you like to say a word? Bonnie? Maybe that do you hear us? Okay.
Estão me ouvindo? Estão me ouvindo?
Yes, yes. Sim, estamos ouvindo, sim.
Posso continuar? Vou manifestar minha modesta opinião a respeito do assunto, porém em complemento a um anexo de um documento que eu enviei ontem através do WhatsApp para o meu amigo, colega de parlamento, o Leopoldo. Então, o Leopoldo hoje tomou conhecimento de uma manifestação escrita que eu faria hoje nesse painel. Mas eu vou complementar aquilo que mandei ontem, em frases curtas, aquilo que eu penso, com base numa teoria, que é a teoria transdimensional da informação, complementando isso devagar, porque a teoria, vamos chamar de TTI, é muito complicada para poucas palavras em tão pouco tempo. A proporção ainda é uma experiência minha que precisa de uma comprovação popperiana por uma universidade. Pois bem, o assunto começou sobre a questão da consciência, o nível e potencialidade da consciência. Afinal de contas, é o eu que enxerga a consciência ou é a consciência que enxerga o eu? A consciência não está dentro de nós. Nós é que estamos dentro dela. A percepção é um evento. A consciência é o campo onde o evento acontece. Superar o ego é deixar de confundir o mapa com o território do ser. A consciência não evolui. Evoluímos nós para recebê-la melhor. Os sentidos mostram fragmentos. A consciência mostra a trama inteira. A intuição é a linguagem da consciência, antes da tradução racional. A memória não distorce o real, apenas compacta para nós, para caber em nós. O espiritual não é o além, é a profundidade do agora. A consciência é o fio que costura o corpo, mente e sentido. A percepção muda. O campo que percebe desde sempre. Os divino nível mais alto da informação que conseguimos suportar. A consciência é anterior ao pensamento e é maior. Ser consciente é perceber o invisível que estrutura o visível. Vou repetir. Ser consciente é perceber o invisível que estrutura o visível. Não buscamos a consciência só por buscar por ela. Vou repetir. Não buscamos a consciência, somos buscados por ela. O humano é uma janela que passa pela janela a consciência. Essas são pontos para deixar claro que nível de consciência nós estamos falando. Do meu ponto de vista, era o que eu tinha que falar.
I'd like to propose, as you have signed, say. Plant trees. There were yes, the leaves on the trees fall all the time. Right, they have to be aware in order to stop. And the animals have consciousness. But the insects, which are aware of their environment, we tell that from the way they react. All the way up to the higher animals. They all have consciousness. And today, those who study quantum physics and philosophers like Alfred North Whitehead say that consciousness goes all the way down. All the way down. That table is conscious in a very simple way, much simpler than the leaves and the plants. The molecules of which it's made of conscious atoms all the way down. Consciousness all the way down and all the way. But there's a peculiar thing of consciousness that we all can observe for ourselves. The philosopher Ludwig Wittgenstein draws this analogy, which I think is correct. Consciousness is like the eye and the field of vision. Right? Each of us has a field of vision. We look out, we see the room, we see one another. But you don't see that makes that vision possible. In fact, we assume, oh, it's this little thing here by looking in the mirror. But the fact of seeing itself does not see the eye that makes it possible. The eye is invisible. The eye is the presupposition, the transcendental presupposition of the very possibility of seeing. Consciousness is just like that. Exactly like that. You and I
experience the world more than just with our eyes, with our ears, with our senses, with our thoughts. We experience the world, but we do not see or experience what Kant calls the transcendental unity of everything. They said the transcendental. Wittgenstein says it's a contentless point at the limit of the world. There's a contentless point of the world, which makes all of this experience of the world possible, but we don't see that point. And it's impossible to see that point. We can presuppose it because each of us is an I, a self-conscious I. So that what that transcendental unity of consciousness does in us is make us aware that we are aware. But we don't see the principle that makes us aware that we are. It's invisible. It's a contentless point at the limit of the world. And the tremendous flaw of much of humanity is that we confuse that self-awareness, that contentless point at the limit of the world, we confuse it with our empirical ego. So we grow up thinking, oh, I like chocolate ice cream. I am a man. I am a woman. I am this and I am that. And this I that we're always using is something generated downstream from the transcendental unity that makes possible consciousness. And part of the spiritual quest, as part of the spiritual realization, is see more and more that I, that empirical ego that we think is ourselves is really something that is only subsequent. It's not the real us. The real us, that transcendental unity, which is unsayable, unknowable, and unspeakable. Right? That transcendental unity is what makes possible human life. And the more that we realize this, the more our consciousness becomes what I call cosmic. Because that transcendental unity that we confuse with the empirical I, that unsayable I that makes possible human awareness doesn't come from us. It comes from the universe. It comes from the cosmos. It is the cosmos, in other words. Each of us is the cosmos become conscious of self. Cosmos is conscious of itself in us. And I think our quest, our human quest, has to do with asking the question, with the conscious, with the cosmos having that conscious of itself in us, what is the power to respond? Certainly not with that empirical ego. I want this, I want that, I want it. But what is the universe that has become conscious of itself in us? What is it asking of us? What should we be doing for freedom in this gift of self? That's a concept. Thank you very much.
Between I and consciousness. It's not the same. Yes, there is a phrase. That is the disease. You are your mind. That is totally dead. The instrument has taken hold of you. We are not the mind.
I understand now after being experience of consciousness is a state of being in Veda it is being stated that every living and non-living are free, but it's very difficult to digest it. So then when we start accepting that everything is about free, I think that is consciousness. Then consciousness is the state of enrichment. When you know you are having an ecstatic feeling, but still the reality makes you more stronger to you at your own inner awakening more gracefully and with full divinity and cosmic awareness. And consciousness is know the divinity is only you. And last definition that I gave is consciousness is the state when you know that your natural instinct is attaining steady wisdom alike nature. So that's what I want to do.
I think it's important that I come. Yes. I think I have to make the subject as simple as possible. Normally, we say that this is a very complicated subject. Let me make an attempt on how simple I can make that. You're all aware about the physical level, the emotional level, right? And now the physical, the manifestation part, out of that source energy. From the source energy, manifestation process happen. And maybe in a simple language, or use of protons, neutrons, electrons, everyone finds that. I'm not going to go deeper into it. So from these protons, neutrons, electrons, and the combinations of gas, from the atom to the molecule, so on and so forth, you're able to start seeing, right? So now you're then once you start experiencing the physical form, you have your emotions connected to that. You may be with emotions or without emotions. The emotions get connected. Then comes the mental state. The mental state has to be understood as an absolutely clean slate. Initially, when you're not, you use the mind. It is like a totally clean slate. And on top of that, because of your physical, because of your emotional, you start putting impressions on that. And these impressions got accumulated over periods of time. And that can be this birth. I do not know whether there are previous births or not. Assume that there were births also. All those, or even if there are no births also, those genetic signatures that got transferred from your lineage, your father, your grandfather, your great grandfather, so on and so on, all that got translated into you, into your body. Okay, that will be a part answer to birth and rebirth also. This way. So that now you touch the mental state. Then physical, emotional, mental. Now you started your intellectual play. And in that intellectual play, you said democracy is the way to life, capitalism is the way to life, communism is the only way to life, so on. Whatever you thought at the level of consciousness that were, and that which you felt so profoundly and so deeply at that instant of time. Because of your combinations of physical, emotional, mental states, you started expressing it very, very strongly. And sometimes they became like a model of life and so on and so forth. Then, last but not least, again, you have to get back to the spiritual state from where you started. And in order to get back to the spiritual state, all you need to do is whatever impressions that you put on your mind will be zeroed. You have to clean the slate. And in order to clean the slate, will have to get back to the thoughtless situation. And I tell you, I will guarantee it. Because I'm not a master, but the process has started very much in me. And I will guarantee you, here, the entire days, I thought that I was a great intellectual. And in the place where I need to do a certain work, I will plan 6 different works, 6 different possibilities of doing that work. And please take it for granted. Nature does not operate like that. If you do multiple planning for the same thing, nature is confused. It is also like a it is a master source and also a perfect slave for it. And it gets confused. Which one master you want me to follow? And it will stop. It will stop operation. That is why generally we tend to become average. Now I tell you, in the conclusion, at a certain, especially when I got 60, I stopped this multiple planning and started becoming back. And really things are happening and I'm thank you.
Thank you very much. I think this is a experience all day can make that we have projections about that, we have ideas about that, we are programmed and follow programs and ideas and we are in the mind and then comes to when I don't understand God anymore and I don't understand myself anymore. And then we come to point to ask this question, who am I? In this general knowledge and general consciousness, who am I? And I find myself like in the desert looking for water. And then we come to what the Upanishads say, you are nothing. That's what I see. That's what I see. This is what thou art. When you strip everything off, who are you? Then you are the person or the spiritual entity. You still have to invent, you still have to create. All the program stuff doesn't serve you anymore. As now, many psychologists say, or Bruce Lipton or Joel Dispenza or whatever, that we are programmed 95% of our this programs. We are running our programs. Exactly. So we have to sort of make a leap into this 5% of freedom, of creative consciousness, where we encounter the freedom and the joy to have room, space, to exist in a new never yet existed way. We are sort of it's a little bit the word is not right, but almost self-creating our space. Self-creating our space with divine consciousness. We are then becoming what we were meant to be. But not before. We are evolutionary beings. Man is a transient being, transient, going through. And
there's one point there.
Yeah.
When you were saying nothing, and in that absolute nothing, everything is there.
Everything is
and
there.
That is Brahma.
Nothing in the sense of nothing. We are not an object, not a thing. The whole universe, everything is in us. All the research, from like all the great yogi understands. Now, I want to point one element that this space of freedom of consciousness is exactly what is most in danger today. It's exactly what is most threatened. And AI, in the way I live, I live in this year. At night, information data. And the point, I don't know anymore what I think. Is it really coming from me? Or is it, am I not mind controlled? My mind is not controlled. And I just want to share an experience with you when this tragedy came. I was sitting in Alexandria, Egypt, and in antiquity there was a lighthouse there. And I saw tourists and then fell into the water. perfect. So people come to us and ask, where was the lighthouse? And they look at people and say, well, you just reflect direction. And I said to myself, well, there's no house anymore. Where's the light? Now the light is in me, in you, in all of us. Humanity, we have to be the lighthouse and resist this, whatever AI or data controlling that we are submitted to. And then I promised to my friend musician that I would sing something, because and I composed for a festival in Iceland a song which is nice for children, for grandfathers, elderly people, but also for us. Because the text is easy. I say hello to the light and me. I say hello to the light in you. I say hello to the light in us. Make the light in light in us. I say hello to the hello to the light in us. Light, 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 and light in us. I say hello to the light in me. I say hello to the light in you. I say hello to the light in us. May the light, 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 and light in us.
Permita-me, senhores, senhores.
Great, great.
Senhores, permitam-me. Nosso debate está muito rico, muito amplo, muito extenso, muito profundo. Não dá como acompanhar num diálogo coerente, sequencial, que deva montar um sistema, com uma compreensão maior. Porque está muito rico, está muito belo, está muito bonito. Mas eu vou começar voltando, indo. Os intelectuais são assim, eu, claro, modestamente sou um aprendiz. Mas ao primeiro-ministro Modi, agradecemos à Índia, onde há coragem política, há espaço para a consciência planetária. Sobre os três olhos mostram três propriedades do real. O que vemos, o que compreendemos e o que nos chama. O Michel Ellis falava sobre o potencial humano versus IA, a inteligência artificial. A IA processa dados. A consciência processa sempre. O humano permanece o canal do sentido. Sobre o universo, foi tocado aí sobre o universo infinito e a consciência cósmica. Se o universo é infinito, a consciência é o meio pelo qual o infinito se torna experienciável. Na teoria que estou dizendo, até já entrei em contato com alguns meus ex-professores de filosofia para virem conhecer com mais profundidade os esboços que eu estou desenvolvendo. A TTI não busca consciência. A TTI é o campo que nos atravessa. O humano é um instrumento afinando você a esse campo. Disseram aí, eu anotei aqui, sobre o olho que vê, mas não se vê. A consciência é esse olho. Ilumina tudo, exceto a si mesma. Porque isso isso que precisamos da reflexão. Percebemos as formas, aí a questão da percepção invisível. Percebemos formas, mas o invisível que organiza as formas. A consciência é essa organização. Também se mencionou, se eu não me engano, foi o Dr. Gray, a tríade de corpo, mente, espírito. O corpo sente. A mente interpreta. O espírito integra. A consciência é a síntese viva dos três. Sobre a relação do homem, do humano e o divino. O divino não está fora. É uma dimensão mais alta da consciência que conseguimos sustentar. Vou repetir. O divino é a dimensão mais alta da consciência que conseguimos sustentar. O nosso propósito, para encerrar, o que unifica todos nós aqui é o próprio campo da consciência buscando experiência coletiva. É isso que eu tenho a dizer.
Consciousness, awareness, and self-interest. Three things in life are always in conflict with each. Suppose consciousness, awareness, and self-interest are in cooperation. What will happen? Is it not like that? Today I feel these three elements are in conflict with each other. Consciousness, awareness, and self-interest. What do you think?
It depends on what you mean by self-interest, I would think. Right? Consciousness, awareness, and self-interest. But the question is, what is the self? And what is the self? If the self is the unsaleable, unknowable center of consciousness, then the self is God. The self is the universe. And so the three go together in that sense. But if I want to say it's my personal self-interest is an ego, I think there's a disjunction there, right? The self is something that is cosmic, right? Think of it here. What is watching this room? Each of us is a consciousness watching this room, and that consciousness has no empirical self. It's not self that we think it is. No, simply, it's the watcher. The watcher is there. The universe is watching itself through us in this room. That's it.
Thank you very much. The universe is watching that us, and we are part of this universe. So the universe, we are something new for the universe. The universe is like surprised by event. Mostly becoming more and more noticing. We are in an evolutionary birthing process, and our face, eternal face, is being born out of our inner consciousness. And I think we could go on, but we have to switch off and wrap up here. Thank you so much for this wonderful discussion online and here at the center. Thank you.
Yes, Professor Rudolph, can I make an intervention? May I? Okay, thank you. So the point I'd like to make is that all the bonhomie that we are sharing, it's full, very joyous. But how does it sustain? As we hit the quotidian lives, the challenges that are built into the system, that's so cruel, so apathetic, especially for the younger generation. So I think to sustain momentum, this session, the bonhomie of humanity, expanded consciousness, which allows us to see, that's where the original from. Then you have a expanded consciousness, you see the world as a family. But when you have a shrunk consciousness, then only you talk about your sign and this and that. So my point: how do we continue this momentum to institutionalize the frameworks and not stop in the tracks? I think lots of vocalization happens for raising consciousness, but that doesn't get reflected in the systems and structures that trap us. And this is where I'd like to bring a powerful thinker, Matthias Desmet from Belgium, Ghent University. He talks about mass formation hypnosis being both used for destructive purpose. It was used in COVID, where the entire focus, which you are supposed to wear, even though the was not proper clinical trial, that there was a virus, but there was no laboratory live mucus sample. Now he says that mass formation hypnosis can also make a focal point like Earth government. 8 billion of us this remains that okay, this let's because consciousness, especially of the younger minds who are more vulnerable, who haven't seen the world enough. So my point is that how do we get down to the Monday morning to institutionalize this into system and actually take a resolution to declare Earth government, and even if it's needed, renounce our citizenship of sovereign nation states, a kind of global civil disobedience. Completely failed us. They've let us down. Thank you.
Thank you for that. I just want to affirm what I believe, and that is that the Earth Constitution is the baby steps for the to actualize its consciousness. Because what the Earth Constitution does, the systematic path that we can institutionalize universal law, universal human rights, universal human dignity, and the very act of our working to actualize that path helps transform the consciousness of people. We're talking about the whole. So it's not only a specific protocols and laws, but it's also talking about it and transform. And so once the Earth Constitution is ratified, it's not the goal, it's not the final stage, but it's a necessary step on the way to universal awakening for humanity.
Well, I have a strong